What is up, everybody? I'm back on another video. Turn to when you can't shoot and everyone knows it by Jimmy Harler. And let me close this. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Close that. But just a little sneak peek. But yeah, y'all gonna get that video today, so it don't really matter. But yeah, bro. I was editing that video for like the past 2 hours now. Look what time it is. I just want you to look what time, bro. I know I didn't upload yesterday, but hey, man, bro.
What would you do if once you got
Jesus, that's so loud. But hey, bro, you just gotta, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not missing another weekday. I might miss a weekend. Oh yeah, that was a weekend, but you know what I'm saying. I'm T, bro. I promise you, I'm T, bro. I'm not missing another day. By the end of the year, on God, I'm not missing another day before the end of the year.
there, your young three-time All-Star put up 11 points per game on a measly question. If you were an NBA GM and your team made the playoffs, what would you do if once you got there, your young three-time All-Star put up 11 points per game on a measly 4.5 shots, shot a historically bad free throw percentage, refused to shoot a three despite being a guard, and was virtually unplayable in the closing moments of those big playoff games? Well, if you were the 76ers ownership, you'd hand this player a $177 million contract, making him the 9th highest paid player in the entire league. That player being Ben Simmons. Now, I'd be lying if I said that Ben Simmons was the only overpaid player in the NBA. But Ben Simmons is a special case because not only has he underperformed in big moments, he doesn't even care. Earlier this week, Ben Simmons showed up to a 76ers practice in sweats, going half speed, with what appeared to be a phone in his pocket and everything other than playing basketball with the Sixers on his mind. This brings forth
a phone in your pocket hooping is crazy, bro. You cannot hoop with a phone in your pocket, bro. That is crazy.
Forcing your way out to a whole new level. And the Sixers suspended Simmons for one game because of this, which, if I had to make a guess, I would say he couldn't care less about, since Ben chose to sit out their following game. Simmons wants out of Philadelphia by any means necessary, but he isn't the first player to want out of a team. Back in 2018, Kawhi Leonard forced his way out of San Antonio by just not playing, suiting up for only 9 of the team's 87 games that season. In 2019,
they had 87 games. Oh, that probably count playoff games or preseason. One of the.
Anthony Davis forced his way out of New Orleans by just not playing. Last season, James Harden forced his way out of Houston. Now, he didn't sit on the bench like Kawhi and AD. He just played so bad that he probably should have been on the bench. I mean, you want to take a guess at the exact moment Harden stopped giving a damn? Are Ben...
Look at those numbers.
You want to take...
Okay, where's the points per game? These are a lot of numbers, my boy. What are points per game? So the percentage. Bro, what's there? Oh, points. 30.
Take a guess at the exact moment Harden stopped giving a damn? Are Ben Simmons'
he was still dropping 30,
actions in hopes of landing on a new team the most desperate and blatantly disrespectful we've ever seen? Well, it's debatable. A few seasons ago, Jimmy Butler wanted out of Minnesota, but Butler didn't get kicked out of practice for not wanting to participate. He did the opposite. The man whooped up on the Timberwolves starters with a bunch of third stringers while yelling, "You need me, you can't win without me." Possibly the most Jimmy Butler thing I've ever heard. Back in 1997, Robert Horry forced his way to a trade by throwing a used towel onto his head coach's face in the middle of a game. This really happened, and Robert was in a Lakers uniform within a week. But over the last few seasons, the star player doing whatever it takes to get out of an organization has been trending upwards. Player empowerment is a good thing. Players should have the autonomy to dictate their future. But this is something completely different, because Simmons isn't Kawhi Leonard, or James Harden, or Anthony Davis. He isn't a generational talent, and his organization didn't betray him. In fact, you could argue the exact opposite. The 76ers have spent the last...
Yeah, they didn't try to do everything to build off of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Is just not, bro. They did everything, bro. Everything.
4 seasons building a roster suited specifically for Ben's exceptional but very limited skill set. Ben argues that with the right pieces around him, he could reach his full potential. Right. What happens when you can't shoot and everyone knows it?
What do you think would be the best fit for Ben Simmons? Like point guard? Nah, brother. Maybe you can go to the point guard on defense, but Ben Simmons' defense is not even good. So, like, where's the best fit for him? Like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know.
That question is quite literal, but let me broaden the question. What happens when you think you're a superstar, but everyone else knows you're not? Now, before we answer that, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. With live
my boy.
This is one of the most turbulent roster in anyone ever. Here's a superstar today. The age-old case of a good player who thinks he's a superstar. I'm not sure if this has ever gone well for anyone, ever. Here's an interesting chart displaying the continuity of every roster in the NBA from season to season. In other words, this chart tracks how much each NBA team changes its roster every season. And with one of the most turbulent rosters in the entire NBA is the 76ers, making adjustments to their team more than nearly every other organization in the league. A lot of these changes specifically made in order for Ben Simmons to succeed, potentially leading to success for the 76ers. And this plan was going relatively well, until last season's playoffs.
Simmons, this is the first
time in his career he's decided
Oh my God.
He was on this floor in game one.
Oh my God.
This is the first. Ben Simmons.
Bro, you shooting free throws. Free throws. They sitting at half court.
This was it. Simmons, possession, good shots and possession.
You left-handed shooting that bad, bro? They say left-handed shooters supposed to be better than right-handed shooters.
Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become.
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now.
Must I remind y'all, this man is one of the highest paid players in the NBA. And despite the organization standing
what's up
steady
with the
beside
quality,
him,
bro?
this guy is demanding a trade. And as selfish and unaware as Ben is being to his teammates and coaches, his actions could potentially hurt the entire league as a whole. At this point, it only seems like a matter of time before Simmons finds himself suiting up with a different team, which would mean that for no justifiable reason, completely unwarranted, a player can just decide one day he doesn't want to be on a certain team anymore, and that team is held hostage, with money tied up in that player and a roster situation that they are now forced to scramble and patch together. This goes beyond player empowerment, resembling something more like player dictatorship. Connor Bergen, a writer for SB Nation, discussed potential changes to how the NBA structures player contracts due to these forced demands. In the modern era of player empowerment and freedom of movement, franchise executives argue they need more protection from trade requests and player non-compliance. Team officials have recently discussed the possibility of introducing monetary repercussions for players who ask out. There's got to be some kind of penalty or fine. These guys sign the Supermax and they want to get traded the next day. Some GMs have suggested a penalty totaling up to 70% of a player's salary, which most GMs think would be a big enough fine to incentivize these players to stay put. But even a massive penalty like that wouldn't change anything at all. What happens when a player doesn't explicitly say he wants out, but instead just plays like trash? The team would have no choice but to trade that player, and since he didn't demand a trade, he wouldn't be penalized. After decades of ownership having all the leverage in these situations, players were given more power, and this is what happens when a player decides to abuse that power. But just imagine if a league was able to put together a plan that would prevent star players from leaving their teams prematurely. This would mean far less movement in the NBA, more parity, less teaming up of ultra-elite players and super teams. This could potentially create a league like we saw in the 90s and early 2000s, where every team had its star player, and that star player stuck with the team through thick and thin. A far-fetched but hopeful proposition. But the irony in this whole Ben Simmons situation is that there are players in the league that could justifiably pull a stunt like this, but they don't. Damian Lillard has given his blood, sweat, and tears to the Portland Trail Blazers for the last 9 seasons. And despite the franchise doing little to accommodate his greatness, he remains loyal to the team. A Washington Post article written by Jerry Brewer pretty much summarizes Simmons' antics. Star movement has filled a vacuum created by lack of parity. It has caused personal acquisition to become as popular as the regular season and playoffs. Right now, it seems to be a vicious cycle of instability led by players who have assumed power without really knowing what they want. on the whims of entitled 20-somethings who would rather escape the grind or who would rather go to the next shiny market than coexist with another star. Every prominent player is in pursuit of a move that supposedly will change the landscape of the league. And possibly the worst part, Simmons isn't even a superstar. Sure, he's a good player, but when the going gets tough, how many people want Simmons dictating the success of their team down the stretch? And Brewer's comments on escaping...
Hey, bro, in the last seconds of the game, who you giving the ball to, Draymond Green or Ben Simmons? Oh my God, I think I'm gonna have to give it to Draymond Green, cause I can't lie.
The grind really hits the nail on the head with Ben Simmons. This man has had no progression in 4 NBA seasons. He hasn't expanded his game. He hasn't developed even a sign of a jump shot. I'm not in the gym putting up shots with the man, but it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Ben has avoided the grind. He's content with being the player that he is, while deflecting his faults and shortcomings on a...
Shoot, bro. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't doubt him. He making $177 million. And he ain't even gotta work for real. You know what I'm saying? Make it to the playoffs every year. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, they you know what I'm saying?
A team that has done everything to help him. Think about it. Everything that makes Ben Simmons a great player, it's all God-given. His vision, his IQ, his passing, his size. Mans is getting paid $33 million a year for being 6'10". And this is coming from someone who has been on the Ben Simmons bandwagon since he was a senior in high school. Must we not forget that Kobe wanted out of LA back in 2007. He wasn't happy. Management was at an all-time low and the Lakers were doing little to meet Kobe's needs. So what does he do about it? The man turned around and won back-to-back championships. Back in 1998,
this is the greatest, bro. Just GOAT status, man.
The Chicago Bulls front office did just about everything in their power to disrespect Michael Jordan. And even MJ didn't make unrealistic demands with the organization. The man just retired. At the end of the day, I don't see this situation going in Ben's favor. Either Ben stays on a team where trust has been completely broken, or the Sixers trade him to a team that can take on his massive contract and he can hit the reset button. New city, same old jump shot, or lack thereof. New team, same sense of entitlement. This is what happens when you can't shoot, and everyone knows it. Hope you all enjoy. And as always, until next time.
Hey, bro, W video about Jimmy Harrell, bro. But yeah, that's me in this video, you know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe, and we out, bro.